When Gareth was watching, Darren Bent was just saying to me that was some finish. Of course it was. For so long, we thought he was going to be out, but now he's in. Trent Alexander-Arnold, due to be confirmed in Gareth Southgate's England squad announcement. Right on the dot of 5. We will bring you the details of it first and fastest right here on Sky Sports News. Enough from us for a moment or two, though, because let's go back up to the sun-drenched Mr. Rob Dorset and Jess Crichton, who are up in the northeast with England. Rob, the countdown is on. What's in your mind?
Well, Jim, we've waited a long time for it, haven't we? Remember, this squad announcement was delayed from this time last week. Southgate wanted an extra week to assess the players that were involved in the big European finals and assess the injuries to Jordan Henderson, Calvin Phillips and Harry Maguire. Well, we know Henderson and Phillips are OK. They've been training. Harry Maguire is going to be a key one we want to hear about. How fit is he? Is he fit enough to be included in this squad? And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, we've been talking about him for several hours now. When we see his name in that squad of 26, that's going to be a huge headline in its own right. And whose place has he taken? Who misses out in his stead?
Yeah, and in midfield, Gareth Southgate has so many impressive attacking options. The guys in the studio have been talking about Jesse Lingard and whether he makes the squad or not. But if he does make it, does that mean you drop Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Phil Foden have all been in brilliant form. And then up front, I suppose it's less of a debate because we know that Harry Kane is the first choice striker. Dominic Calvert-Lewin likely to be his deputy. And now that Mason Greenwood is out of the picture, coming out of the squad because of injury, Ollie Watkins likely to be the third choice there, Rob.
Yeah, and one thing I would say finally, Jim, it's important to be aware that this isn't the final say on the England squad. It's the big official announcement. They have to put the squad in formally to UEFA by 11 p.m. tonight. But because of coronavirus, there's a unique change. England can change their squad anytime up to and including the day before their first game in the tournament. That's Croatia on June the 13th. So even after now, there's still another 12 days for Southgate to make any changes that he wants to the squad, ins and outs. That gives hope to the likes of Harry Maguire that he might be fit in time. But it's just a little footnote. This isn't the final word on the matter, but boy, it's going to be fascinating when the England manager speaks to us at 6 o'clock. But before that, 5 o'clock. What are we? 6 minutes. It shouldn't be long now, and we will know the England squad. The 26 chosen ones for the Euros. Stay with us.
OK, Rob, Jess, thank you very much indeed. Darren and Michael, we've just got a minute then just to chew over your final thoughts. Do you think there's going to be a left field surprise? What do you think, Darren?
I do, because as Michael keeps saying, 4 right backs, I just can't see the logic in that.
And you're the same, aren't you?
Massively, because I look in our midfield, probably holding midfield, which we would say, and we talk about Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, Henderson. You like Jude Bellingham, don't you? Say he can play in there. I'm going, well, if you're not taking Lingard, does Ward-Prowse go in my opinion? I didn't have him in because you've gone a lot more attacking. I look at the front, there's so many players that were attacking. I think Jordan Henderson hasn't played for long enough. Phillips, time will tell.
Time will tell. Time's upon us, Michael. We're about to find out. What a great hour from you two. But let's find out who has made the cut. Who's in and who's out. Southgate's final squad for the Euros. There's a man that makes all the decisions. We're about to find out. Stay with us. Caroline, 1, 2, 3. Well, it's blisteringly hot out there today. On this, the 1st of June, it's pretty darn hot in here as well because we are waiting for confirmation of Gareth Southgate's final England squad, the England squad for the Euros. We know it was at 33 at one stage. Then this morning, it came down to 32. If you haven't heard, we can tell you why. Mason Greenwood was withdrawn. He has an underlying injury which needs attention. So throughout much of the close season, poor Mason is going to be getting treatment to get him ready for his club, Manchester United, at the start of next season. And now it's going to go from 32 down to 26. And what we know is that Trent Alexander-Arnold, we thoroughly expect him to be named in that squad. Darren Bent is with me here in studio, and Michael Dawson is with me here in studio as well. The boys were touching on the fact that back in 2010, they were in this very situation. Would they make Capello's England squad? Darren got the call from Capello himself. You're not in it. Michael got the call from Capello himself. I'm afraid you're not in it. But then Tom Huddleston told us earlier that he didn't get the call from Capello. He only got the call from the number 2, Capello's number 2. So poor Tom didn't even get it from the main man. And one day we'll find out why that was. But an enormous amount of anticipation. The squad is due to be announced any minute now. We have been going over the course with it. What we do know is there's going to be three goalkeepers. And correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, we would think that that's going to be Pickford, it's going to be Henderson, it's going to be Johnstone, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. You're happy about the goalkeeping department. And your number one would be?
Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jordan's done enough for England, enough for Everton. I think Pope would have been in there had he not had the injury. And unfortunate for him, he's been in other squads he played. But right. Yeah, they'll be the three that'll be going, in my opinion. They'll
be the three. Back with you in a second, Darren, because now we've got confirmation of the news we brought you way back about 3 o'clock this afternoon, 3:30, that Trent Alexander-Arnold would make the cut. He has made the cut. You found out about that first and fastest on Sky Sports News. But what are the other headlines coming out of the squad announcement? Here's Rob and here's Jess.
Well, Jim, it's extraordinary news. We have the squad here. The FA put this out on the dot at 5 p.m, so we haven't got any advance warning at all. And I can tell you that all 4 of the right-backs we've been discussing are in. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier and Reece James. He's gone with 4 right-backs in a squad of 26, which is absolutely extraordinary. We wondered about Harry Maguire, didn't we? Harry Maguire is in this squad, despite the fact that he's been carrying that serious ankle ligament injury that kept him out of Manchester United's Europa League final. Bukayo Saka is in there as well. So I tell you what, I'm going to read the squad to you so that you can be aware of exactly what we're talking about until we can get it in pictorial form on the screen for you. The 3 goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Sam Johnstone and Jordan Pickford. So that's Sam Johnstone ahead of Aaron Ramsdale, who was one of the 4. Trent Alexander-Arnold, we told you about at 3:15 on Sky Sports News. He's in, as is Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier and Reece James. There's Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw, the 2 left-backs. We've got Conor Coady, we've got Tyrone Mings, and we've got Harry Maguire as 3 centre-backs. Now, that's not many centre-backs, Jess. That is clearly because he knows that Reece James and Kyle Walker can cover for them there if they need to in a back 3. In the midfield, Jude Bellingham, a 17-year-old, a teenager, makes the Euro squad. Alongside Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. We expected all those to be in. Up front, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling. So, Jess, sum that up for us. What do you make of all of that?
That's incredible. It's interesting to see that Harry Maguire has made the squad, although we did expect that because of the leadership qualities he's bringing, how paramount he's been to England's success. Jordan Henderson, again, another player that was questioned because of his fitness, because we weren't sure how many minutes he'd played since February. We saw him training for the first time, didn't we, today at 11 o'clock on Sky Sports News. He looked to be loose. He looked like he was enjoying himself. So he is in the squad. And that will be great for England on and off the pitch because Jordan Henderson is known as a leader within this England side. No, Jesse Lingard.
We expected no Jesse Lingard.
We did expect that. We did say that. We told you that earlier on Sky Sports News. So it leaves the way for the impressive attacking options of Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, who have both played exceptionally well for their clubs, and Jadon Sancho as well, Rob, who's had a brilliant time over in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, listen, I think it's an extraordinary squad. It's actually gone off my screen now, so Jess, I don't know if we can socially distance past that to me so I can have a quick look, if that's okay, because this is breaking news on Sky Sports News as we have it right now speaking to you. Conor, Coady and Tyrone Mings make it as centre-backs. We wondered whether that would be the case, didn't we? And I suppose the interesting one is there's no mention here about a standby list. We expect Gareth Southgate to have a standby list, but he's clearly not made it public. That will be to cover for Harry Maguire if he can't prove his fitness in the next week. We expect him to join up with England on Wednesday, but he won't take part, as will none of the Manchester United players, in that first of two pre-tournament friendlies, if you like, against Austria at the Riverside Stadium just down the road. But the headlines, as we've discussed, Trent Alexander-Arnold in, Harry Maguire in, 4 world-class right-backs in, and they're all classed as defenders, by the way, so we wait to see what happens there. I think the really interesting thing, Jess, here as well, is that there aren't many midfielders in there. We know that there's versatility in this squad, but only Jude Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. 5 midfielders for an entire tournament. Clearly Southgate thinks that they can be covered elsewhere. Well,
exactly, but as we heard from Gareth Southgate a little bit earlier, we heard, didn't we, that he thinks Trent Alexander-Arnold can play in midfield, likes to see him in midfield. It's a position that Alexander-Arnold played as a youngster. So interesting to see where exactly Alexander-Arnold will fit into this England team, considering he's now got 4 world-class right-backs in that team.
Yeah, and we look at the players that have missed out. We expected Ben White and Ben Godfrey, the 2 centre-backs who were called up for this provisional squad, I think as cover for Harry Maguire. They have been cut from the squad. You'd expect that as well. James Ward-Prowse and Jesse Lingard, we've been talking about them all day, haven't we? And yes, they miss out as well. But Jess, we've been talking about Ollie Watkins, haven't we?
Yes.
It's a name we didn't see on that list. Yes. It took us a while to find it. We were looking for it. It's not there. Mason Greenwood, we knew missed out, and we thought that might go with another striking option in Ollie Watkins. But no, the Aston Villa striker who scored on his debut in March, having been called up in the last squad, misses out. And there are very few out-and-out central strikers now. So we've got Harry Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the only natural centre-forwards. Clearly, Southgate thinks he's got enough cover with Raheem Sterling, with Marcus Rashford, who can play in those positions, and has decided instead to backload the squad in terms of defenders.
Yes, and what it seems to me is that Gareth Southgate wants to use the players' versatility. He likes the fact that he's got players that can play in multiple positions, like Trent Alexander-Arnold, perhaps like Raheem Sterling, and perhaps that will give him more options when he's playing in tournament football and going against so many different teams.
Jim, we'll hear from Gareth Southgate. So many questions to ask him in that news conference at 6 p.m. We'll bring that to you live on Sky Sports News, but we're still digesting this squad as it came through, and there's some real headlines in there, aren't there?
Rob, Jess, thank you very much indeed. Well, they kept us waiting, didn't they? Not Rob and Jess. I mean, the FA. And they waited right until the stroke of 5 o'clock before they gave out the squad in full. Darren Bent and Michael Dawson are with me. We're going to go through it bit by bit. It's fair, no disrespect to the goalkeepers, but we knew this would be the 3. Henderson, Johnstone and Pickford. Michael, your area. Defence. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Chilwell, Coady, Reece James, Maguire, Mings, Shaw, Stones, Trippier and Walker. And we were right all along. Is he really taking 3 right backs? Yes, he is. 4 right backs? Yes, he is.
Yeah. When we seen Trent going to be in, you were thinking that's what he would do, because who was he going to leave out? It's 10 defenders. Obviously, Harry Maguire's been carrying the ankle injury, which is, for me, if Harry's not fit, is a massive loss for England. He was sensational 2018. He's been amazing this season for Manchester United. You've seen when he's not there for them, they're a different team. We saw it in the Europa League final. We saw it in the last few weeks for Manchester United. He, for me, is so important from England. One, I just think what he brings in both boxes defensively. I think 10 defenders. Now you start thinking, it's going to be a back 5. If you're going to play a back 4, it makes your midfield look very, very light in that area with the injuries that Jordan Henderson's had. Phillips with shoulders, we heard it sounds like he's going to be all right. And Declan Rice, in recent weeks, the 3 of them, or certainly Jordan and Declan Rice, have not played an awful lot of football. Phillips has been brilliant for Leeds. But defensively, Trent comes in, 10 defenders.
You can't get your head around the 10 defenders, can you?
No, I wish that had happened a few years ago. I might have been on the first playing squad.
There you go. Why did they not do it a few years ago? But Michael's making a good point. Look at your midfield there, Darren. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, Mount, Calvin Phillips and Reece.
Yeah, I mean, it is light, but you have to look at that. I mean, Phil Foden, he can drop. I know he's been brilliant playing from that wide left position, but he can drop in there. Jack Grealish, he can drop in there. So, if needs must, they can drop back more men into that position. But looking at it there, it is very, very light. I mean, Mason Mount's had a tremendous season. Jude Bellingham, I'm a big fan of his. I'm delighted that he's there because, for me, game one, he'd be a starter. Calvin Phillips, as you said, with the shoulder. Jordan's not played an awful lot of football either, so you think you kind of bolster that position, and Ward-Prowse probably is a bit unlucky, but for me, I mean, Jesse Lingard, looking at that squad there, picking about players from Saka, obviously delighted for him to get himself in the squad. Yeah. He was in the list that wasn't going for me. But I just think going into this tournament, I've said it before, you want to pick players on form, and Jesse Lingard was playing, if you look at this whole squad, on the same kind of par with like Phil Foden, Mason Mount, that type, they were probably the three who'd go brilliant. Yeah. The fact that he chose to leave him behind and take 4 right-backs, don't quite understand that.
It'll be interesting. About 6 o'clock, we're going to hear from Southgate. I think Darren's right. I think Lingard is the decision, Michael, that Southgate probably agonised over more than any other.
Yeah, because of the form he's in. And if he is going to play with the 3-4-3, you think in the two midfielders that you know that they like to play with. I know they played against Poland with a 4-3-3, and it was Mount on the left and Reece and then Phillips. Phillips was still more of the sitter than what Mount was because he likes to get forward. It's probably a different position for Phillips. With the two there, you've only got the real... I know you like to say you're a big fan of Jude Bellingham, aren't you? You think he can play in the two if it is in front of the back four because he's nice and strong. But our attacking threats...
Yeah.
It's just, honestly... Yeah. You look on paper here, or on your posh iPad over there. It's just, honestly, free-flowing football, attacking... I'm so excited, really am.
Well, it's terrific. Bellingham's such a great story. 17, not that long ago, Birmingham City, now Borussia Dortmund. He set the place on fire out there, and now he gets his chance at a major tournament finals.
Well, do you know what? I just couldn't see how Gareth could leave him behind. I mean, he's just so different to what we've got. He almost reminds me of that kind of Vieira-type stature midfielder. I mean, I thought he was brilliant against Manchester City in the Champions League. Drove Dortmund on. Had, obviously, the decision that went against him when he scored and it was given as a foul.
Does he start the first game for you?
For me, I would have started him in there alongside Declan Rice, and then Mason Mount would have been the third out of the three. But as I said, with the formation that he's got there, the amount of defenders, 10 defenders, and not only that as well, we've seen Saka operate from left back as well. So I'm not quite sure. He's going to go with a 3 for me. He's going to go with a back 5. But listen, I'm delighted, as I said, for Jude Bellingham to be in there. I think he's earned the right. He was impressive in the last round of internationals, and he's going to go from strength to strength. And also as well, he doesn't come with that extra baggage. And when I say that, he's not based here. Him and Jadon Sancho are not based here, so they don't hear all the outside noise in terms of expectation or who's going to be in, who's going to be out. Yeah, they'll be aware of it, but they've been over there playing their football for Dortmund, and they've both had tremendous seasons.
That's a good point, Dan, actually. I mean?
They've not got washed up in all the...
They're somewhat removed from it. I know exactly what you mean. So, up front then, Michael, Calvert-Lewin, Foden, Grealish gets in, Kane, of course, Rashford, Saka, Sancho, Sterling. You know, Rashford, I looked at him when he finished the season, and I thought, he looks as if he was running out of gas. Not surprisingly, so many games. And then I began to think, he's got to make the England squad. He can't not make it. Well, he has made it. Did you ever have any doubt that he would be in there?
No, he was in my 26, and I'm sure we're going to see it because we had to send it across to you this morning, Jim, to show who we were going to be exposed now the squad's come out. We'll see what we know or why we sat here. But no, it doesn't surprise me that Rashford, he didn't finish the season. We see him in the Europa League, he had opportunities. But look, Foden, Grealish, Kane, I look with the front three there. Mount, who we're having a debate, weren't we, off? Yeah. Who's going to play? Look, whoever was sat here would all have different opinions. Yes. That's it, because we're blessed in attacking, and we go back to 10 defenders.
Do you know what? What I will say is, though, Jim, is I really feel for Ollie Watkins because he's obviously stepped out of the Championship, he's got into the Premier League, and he's taken his chance. He's scored, I think he's got, 14 goals in his 37 appearances this season. Tremendous return, gets an opportunity in the national team, scores in his debut, and then to kind of just get left behind, I think... It's a little bit harsh.
We had him in, didn't we? I had him in, and we touched on it before, Jim. A different kind of threat. You talked about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The ball goes in wide areas. He's got people who can cross the ball. He's a different threat. He's a handful. So is Ollie Watkins. There's periods in games and teams you're going to come up against that might be everyone behind the ball, give England so much.
Yeah.
You know, they're scared of England. So how do we then break them down, balls threaded through? We've got all those gifted kinds of players, but we've got a different option, and that's what Dominic Calvert-Lewin does. That's what Ollie Watkins will be devastated. And Saka, he's now come in, and one you maybe question he's been brilliant for Arsenal, probably.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, Michael. Arsenal finished the season in a pretty indifferent fashion, but Saka didn't. No. I mean, he's been a shining light, hasn't he?
He's been the constant all season. I mean, wherever he's been asked to play as well, by the way, from the left back, left wing, right wing at times. I mean, he has been Arsenal's shining light.
As we head to a breakdown, you feel for Ward-Prowse?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think it's quite understandable that he wouldn't go, considering the midfielders that are there. But again, it's unfortunate. But as me and Michael have been saying, someone was always going to miss out.
Sure thing. I must admit, since 4 o'clock, I've been extremely nervous that Trent Alexander-Arnold might not be in it, having got us off to a major flyer that he would be in it. And then when you see confirmation of the squad, you think, well, thank God for that. So there we go. Now we know who has made the cut. And Harry Kane, of course, is ready to lead England into the Euros. So stay with us. We're going to hear from his manager, Gareth Southgate, inside the next hour or so. And we'll also be bringing you Darren's starting 11 in the first game and Michael's starting 11. Now we know. We're all in to kick it out. Welcome back. Well, now we know the squad, the England squad for the Euros is confirmed, and we now know the 26 who've made the cut. Gareth Southgate's final squad for the Euros. So let's just run through them, and this is how it worked out. Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford and Sam Johnstone, they get the nod in the goalkeeping department. But this has got us talking. Look at the numbers here in defence. Trent Alexander-Arnold made it. He got in there, and we expected that. We got wind of that mid-afternoon. We went on that news, and that news was confirmed a short time ago. Ben Chilwell is in. Conor Coady made the cut. Reece James, how could he be left out? He was magnificent in Porto for Chelsea. Harry Maguire, as Michael Dawson's been saying, so important for England. Tyrone Mings has made it. Luke Shaw is in. Johnstone's got the nod. Kieran Trippier, of course, a La Liga winner with Atletico Madrid, and Kyle Walker. Those are the defenders. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in midfield. 17-year-old Jude Bellingham, once of Birmingham, now Borussia Dortmund. Jordan Henderson, of late injured, but he makes the squad. Mason Mount, sensational for Chelsea. Calvin Phillips, a magnificent season for him at Leeds United. And Declan Rice, out injured up until recently, made his return for the Hammers, and of course he's made the cut. And then to finish it off, taking us right up to the final 26. Everton's Dominic Calvert-Lewin makes the cut. Will he have a new manager anytime soon? It would seem that way. More on that coming up. Phil Foden is in. Grealish is in. Harry Kane, of course, was an absolute must. He was a certainty. Rashford made it. Bukayo Saka, maybe there were some doubters as to whether or not he would get the nod. He's got the nod. Jadon Sancho of Dortmund. And Raheem Sterling has made the 26 as well. It's really got a nation talking this afternoon, Michael. I'm looking at loads upon loads of messages. Everybody's got their say on who should be in, who shouldn't be in. To me, the standout name at this stage is Ollie Watkins. You thought he should have been in the 26. Darren did as well. Do you know what? He might be. He might make it, because the squad can be changed. Because we're talking post-COVID, Michael. It's a different time. The time's unprecedented. So the squad, a change or two can be made to the squad right up until the day before a game. So you never know. Watkins, the first game, you never know. Watkins is disappointed at this stage, but you never know, that could change. Unlikely, but it could. But he'll be disappointed.
Yeah, of course he will. It only takes one injury. There's an awful lot of training going to go on. There's 2 friendlies coming up that can happen right before the game. I was fortunate in 2010 when that happened to Rio. Obviously, the whole nation didn't think that was fortunate, because they would have liked Rio to be in South Africa.
Of course, but you get in because he dropped out.
He dropped out at the first training session in South Africa. He does his knee, and then I get a call to say, you're on the next flight to South Africa. So things do happen. And look, they'll go away on the holidays and they'll be watching as a fan. That's what you are. We all want the nation to do well.
Yeah.
But these guys now who aren't in the squad, and Ollie Watkins that we touched on earlier, such a threat, he'll be absolutely good. They will have that feeling now of hurt, but they'll also go, right, fans, we want England to do well and be successful, because that's what we are. Well, you won't, Jim, obviously on June the 18th.
He does.
OK. Well, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it goes without Jesse Lingard. I was surprised at that. I thought he showed an incredible burst of form when he went to it. He hit the ground running when he arrived at West Ham, and was that way all the way through towards the end of the season. And now Lingard doesn't make it.
The whole period at West Ham. I mean, he got 2 on his debut, because when you've not played for so long, there's a little bit of rust there. But I think when he scored so quickly into his debut and then had such a phenomenal game, that gets rid of the rust. You then get into that rhythm, and I think that's what he certainly did. He went from strength to strength, he's always been a fit lad, anyway, he looks after himself, but he went from strength to strength. And I think if you're picking players, as I've said it, on form, Jesse Lingard has got to go. Now you start looking about some of the options that we've got, and we have got a lot of them, kind of number 10 / Jack Grealish's, Phil Foden's, people like that. But I think for Jesse Lingard, Gareth knows all about him as well. He was brilliant in 2018. He looks like he's a great teammate. The boys like having him around. So he's ticking all these boxes, and then it just comes down to, right, is he producing on the pitch? Yeah. And he was doing that. So it's going to be really interesting, obviously, when Gareth does speak, why he's left Jesse out, because, as I said, I just can't see his reasoning. And you can keep saying about we've got so many different players who've played in this kind of position, but he's been superb, Jesse Lingard.
He's going to be the one in there. You look now and say form. Look, the squad of 33, rightly so, were in the squad. We touched on Patrick Bamford, didn't we? Players that have missed out. But this squad, arguably, you could pick Jesse Lingard is probably the most, as well as Ollie Watkins, the form they're in, and Gareth's going to be questioned on that. Why?
Yeah. For sure.
Why? Because you talk about form and taking other players.
Yeah.
That's his job. But now you're going to be under the spotlight.
But he was never ever going to leave, which I understand. I get it. He was never going to leave Rashford out because Rashford has been brilliant at times. I know his form this season hasn't been great. Raheem Sterling's not had. Phil Foden's keeping Raheem Sterling out of his natural position, so he's not even playing games. So surely then again, that in terms of not even such much match fitness, but again rhythm. That's where you want players playing really, really well come end of the season, and Jesse Lingard was in that bracket.
We talk about confidence, don't we? Confidence is you can't buy. If we were players, you could buy confidence. You'd pay an awful lot of money because you've all had dips in it.
Yeah.
But when you're there, football's an easy game. When you're not, it's tough.
Michael, that's it. I mean, we talk about Lingard. We're surprised that Lingard hasn't made it. Let's go up to the northeast and join Jess, because Jess, you've got some news, as I understand it, on Jesse Lingard. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I think you guys are right in the studio there discussing the big omissions from me looking at this squad are, of course, Jesse Lingard, Ollie Watkins and James Ward-Prowse. And now Gareth Southgate, in the last few moments, has been speaking on the FA channels. He says that Jesse Lingard is likely to start the match tomorrow against Austria. And he also said that the players that were omitted from the squads, that were told they are not part of the final 26, had the chance to go home if they wished. None of them took that option, so they would all be in and around the camp for this match tomorrow against Austria here at the Riverside Stadium. So that's an interesting point. And we look at Ollie Watkins, Darren and Michael were saying it there, shocked that he's been omitted. We know, don't we, that Harry Kane is the #1 striker for England in that central role. His deputy, as we understand it, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That would have made Ollie Watkins third choice. But if you take Ollie Watkins out of the equation, as Gareth Southgate has done, it leaves more space for the likes of Foden, Grealish, Sancho, Rashford, Sterling, and even potentially Mount, who can play in the wing positions, whereas Ollie Watkins can't quite do that. And taking Ollie Watkins out means that you could perhaps leave space for another defensive player, which is why Gareth Southgate has got 6 fullbacks in this side. Although I say fullbacks, some of these players can play in more than one position, can't they? So there is a lot of versatility. If you look at Bukayo Saka, who's played all 3 positions on the left-hand side for Arsenal this season. We heard Gareth Southgate talk in the last hour or so, didn't we, about God, I've lost my train of thought there. We heard Gareth Southgate talk in the last hour about Trent Alexander-Arnold and the fact that he can play in midfield as well as in that right-back position. So there is versatility, there's flexibility, which is what you need in tournament conditions. But just spare a thought, Jim, for Ward-Prowse. He was unlucky in missing out in the semi-final squad for the Nations League back in 2019. He's also missed out on this squad. And interestingly, in that 2018 World Cup, you will remember, Jim, how many set pieces, how many goals England scored from set pieces in that 2018 World Cup from Russia. 9 to reach the semi-finals. Will they miss the fact that they've let go of a set piece specialist in James Ward-Prowse? I wonder. But yeah, fascinating debates still to be had, and we get to hear from Gareth Southgate, England manager, in just over half an hour now. It'd be fascinating to hear his reasonings behind leaving out some of those big players, Jim.
Yes, thank you very much indeed for that. Now, that is the kind of news that I've never heard of when a squad is announced. I've got to tell you, Michael Dawson and Darren Bent here in studio both looked at each other when we heard Jess say there, Lingard, who did not make the final cut, didn't make the 26, is likely to play tomorrow night for England in the build-up to the Euros. Well, Michael, where's the thinking in that?
I don't know. I can't answer that, Jim. It's a real surprise. The feeling that they will feel not being in the squad, and you go back to 2010 and you said, do you want to stay around? Are you being tested? Are you thinking, I've just said before, when the 7 that are left out, they'll be absolutely devastated. Yeah. However, I'm not part of that now. That's how I would feel. I'm not part. Yes, something can happen, then you can come back in. But to play tomorrow night, I find that surprising. Maybe because there's a few injuries. Maybe we were thinking, would Jordan get time? Yeah. Players who've obviously played a lot of games, they may be thinking we don't. But you've got 26 players. Yeah. Come the first game, they're not going to against Croatia. They're not going to be there unless you have an injury.
I don't understand. I mean, right. Darren, when you look at it, Lingard's going to play for England tomorrow night when he hasn't been selected by England.
I mean, for me, Gareth's causing his own problems there, because if Lingard plays tomorrow, which he looks like he's going to start and does really well, scores 2, there's going to be an outcry. Why is he not in the squad?
There you go.
So for me, I can understand, and I think I agree with you there, Dawson, in terms of I think he is testing one or two. Like if you want to go home, or stay around the squad. I think they should all stay together anyway.
I think that's something Gareth's done, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Gareth has made. You see the celebrations together. You see United at the 2008. And he's made a group of players that are together. We're all in this together. However, I'm still looking now, going. You're going. I'm not. Do I really want to be here? That's how I would feel. I'd feel emotional because you think the players who aren't there think that I should be there.
Exactly. If you hadn't made the 26 today, Michael, would you want to be playing tomorrow night?
Also, as well, surely Gareth wants to use it as getting his team ready for a major tournament. Like, if there's going to be players there that, like, say that Raheem Sterling, he's not played that many minutes. Give him some minutes. But the fact that so you want to concentrate on the 26-man squad that you've got, get a few minutes in for the players that need the minutes, maybe try out maybe a different system, have a look at one or two players in certain roles. But the fact that you're playing players that you've left out of the squad and starting them in games, maybe I don't quite understand.
You said there it can be changed up to the day before the first game.
Yes, true.
So maybe he's giving the players that are injured a little bit more time. They ain't going to play. I'm just trying to think what's the benefits of
it's
seven players being there. But Gareth's the boss. He has made that togetherness. But I'm sure some of those seven are thinking, we're going to be here tomorrow a day. It's been a long season. Yeah. We've been on these trips. You're in hotel. It's a lot different now. I get that with Gareth.
We knew there'd be a few talking points, didn't we, Michael?
Not that one.
There's no shortage of them. Guys, back with you in a moment. Croatia will be England's opponents, of course, at Wembley on Sunday, June the 13th. They just scored as their preparations continue. They're playing Armenia. It's live on Sky Sports right now. More in the squad with us next. And Southgate, remember, coming up at 6.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Welcome back to Sky Sports News. I'm with Darren Bent and Michael Dawson here in studio this afternoon. We're reacting to the 26-man squad announcement made by the FA on behalf of Gareth Southgate just a short time ago. In actual fact, Gareth Southgate, we will hear from him in just over 20 minutes from now as to why he selected such and such a player, but maybe not this one. Southgate has actually been speaking in the last few minutes. We're going to get the boys' reaction to this very shortly. He was saying that Mason Greenwood of Manchester United came to him as a few days ago as Friday and said, look, I need to maybe rethink this, and he pulled out the squad on Friday. So Greenwood and Southgate spoke about Greenwood's non-involvement in the squad, if you like, as long ago as Friday. So Southgate's had the whole weekend to get used to that idea, and Gareth Southgate is also saying the most complex part of the entire selection process has been assessing the injuries of Henderson and Maguire. So when you think of that, assessing the injuries of these two players and then working out, do I include them or do I not? And the upshot is he's included both. Both of them are there and both of them go. Darren and Michael, stay with me here on set. We're going to be joined by a man right now who was part of the England squad at the 2006 World Cup and Euro 2012, and he is Stuart Downing. Stuart, good afternoon. That's right. Get the vocal cords ready with a quick slug of water before we start. Good afternoon to you, my friend. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in, Stuart. Is that the right call? Did you predict that? Did you think he would be?
Yeah, I thought he would be. I think his form, especially second half of the season, has been really good. He's back into the Trent that we know. Some brilliant performances. And listen, he's a top player, and that's what we need in the squad. So I'm very happy that he's been picked.
And of course, he's one, if you like, of four right backs who have been selected. Yeah. Michael and Darren and myself have been mulling over that. What's your perception of that? Four right backs in the one squad, Stuart?
Obviously, I think everyone's probably thinking that they can only play right back, but there's certain players who can play different positions. Reece James can obviously maybe fill in a right side of a three. Kyle Walker can also do that. So they're all very flexible players. So it's obviously a reason why Gareth's included the four. It's not like I said, they can only just play one position. They're very flexible players. They can maybe fill in. Even Trent could, at a post, probably go into midfield with the quality he has on the ball. So we've got good options there in that position.
One or two talking points. I think Michael and Dan will come in a second, but Ollie Watkins didn't make the cut. Were you one of those who thought, well, he's just done enough to get in?
I thought he would be in, Ollie. I thought he would be in. I think he's adapted very well to the Premier League. He's been in good form for Aston Villa. He made the jump up from the Championship really well. So that did surprise me. But I think Gareth's probably gone for more overload in the wide positions as more of attacking winger forwards than more than an out-and-out striker. So it would have been a difficult decision for him, but I'm very surprised that he got left out.
Stewie, what about Lingard as well? Because his form at West Ham, obviously one of your former clubs, has been sensational. You surprised that he didn't make the squad?
A little bit surprised, but I think in that area we've got some unbelievable talent. That must have been probably one of the hardest decisions for Gareth. You think, James Maddison and people like that, not in, and it must have been difficult. But I think his form's been really, really good. He will probably be disappointed that he didn't make the squad, but I think for him now he just needs to carry his form into next season and make himself, a shoe-in for the next squad and the next qualifying campaign for next season. So, but he could be happy with his form, but I'm sure he's disappointed he didn't make the cut.
Speaking about Lingard, and Jess Crichton up in the North East gave us the news that in spite of the fact he hasn't made the final cut, the 26, England, of course, up against Austria tomorrow night, Gareth is saying to the in-house FA channel that Lingard might play some part in the game. Can you get your head around that?
Yeah. I heard you guys talk earlier on about it, and I can't get my head around it, to be honest. There's obviously got to be a good reason for it. I think the disappointment of being left out of a squad, especially for a major tournament coming up, is gut-wrenching, really. And I can imagine his head's probably in all sorts of difficult places at the minute, trying to get his head around why he's not in the squad. So to be involved tomorrow, there's obviously got to be an obvious reason, but it must be hard for the player to get his head around playing tomorrow, knowing that he's not going to be in that final squad and off to a major tournament. So I'd like to, it'd be interesting to see what Gareth has to say on that situation.
Who's going to shine for you from the players who have been selected? Is there a standout player, Stuart, you would think, watch this guy? I mean, obviously, to me, I think Jude Bellingham might end up being one of these stories, if not the story. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, isn't he, for his age? He's very mature, the way he plays. I've watched some of his performances of late, and I played against him actually for Birmingham with Blackburn in the Championship, and he stood out. He's, for his age, he's a fantastic player. But I'd like to see, Foden and people like Jack Grealish get a run. I think he could be a big player for us. He's certainly got the talent. He looks to me like the bigger the stage, he thrives more on that. So I'd like to see Jack Grealish given a go. If he starts the tournament, I'm not so sure, but I think given a chance, he could be a little bit of X factor for us.
Stuart, always good to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Stuart Downing with us live on Sky Sports News. Michael Dawson and Darren Bent are here in studio, so we're going to put these guys to the test now. Mr. Michael Dawson, your first game is against Croatia when this whole thing gets up and running. Now we know the 26. Can you break the 26 down to your starting 11 against Croatia?
I can do. It'll probably be wrong, but I can try.
That doesn't matter. Give it a go. What do you think and why?
I think you'll probably go back to a 3. I know against Poland it was a back 4. Pickford, Walker, Stones, Maguire. Maguire's my question mark. You see here. And Harry, just because his ankle, he's missed, obviously, Europa League final. You're thinking, wow, is he going to be fit? Trippier, Rice and Henderson. Henderson's another big question mark. I just think Phillips has been brilliant in that position for England and for Leeds all season. Chilwell, and then attacking. Grealish, big decision for me. Benty's looking at me and saying, how have you not put Mountain? I'm waiting to see Benty's team. Foden, and obviously Captain Harry Kane's always going to be like that. Gareth's got so many options.
Oh, yeah. Yes, defensively.
But he's maybe gone defensively because Harry, we shall wait and see if he's fit. Will he be fit for the first game against Croatia? We'll have to see. Will he be fit for the latter stages? He had to be in Harry Maguire because he's what he did. In both boxes, I just think he is so important to England, and it gives the opportunity for the wing-backs to get forward, 2 holders, and then when you get in the final third, just be creative. And that's what we've got. I said earlier, I don't believe we've had this much
creativity,
in England for so long.
I agree.
It's endless. It just keeps going, Michael, and going wherever you pick.
You do know Jordan Henderson get injured on February the 20th and hasn't played for Liverpool since.
Yeah, and that's my worry. We say that, and what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 midfielders that I believe can play in that position, and that's what we talked about. Ward-Prowse, would he go in?
Yeah.
There's all ifs and buts. Who's going to be fit? Who's not? Time will tell with the 2 friendlies coming up. Will Jordan play? Will he get minutes to then work to the Croatia game? Because if he's fit, I believe he plays.
Well, Michael Dawson has given us his starting 11. If Gareth Southgate is watching this, he's due to speak in about 15 minutes. After this upcoming break, Gareth will get the chance to see if Darren Bent has made a complete Horlicks of his starting 11 for the first match. When we come back, Darren will give us his starting 11. But no doubt about it, we are absolutely brimming with talking points following the squad announcement this afternoon. No Ollie Watkins, no Ward-Prowse, no Jesse Lingard. Those are the big omissions, but plenty of talking points as to who did make it. Darren's on the way.
We're all in to kick it out.
Welcome back. We're going to be hearing from Gareth Southgate in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes from now, and he will tell us the background to the choices he has made as to who got in, who didn't get into his 26-man England squad for the Euros. Michael Dawson, moments ago, gave us his starting 11 as he thinks they'll line up. England against Croatia for their opening game. Now it is the turn of this man to my right, Darren Bent, who I think has got one or two differences of opinion regarding that starting. You do?
I do.
Why does that surprise me? Tell me who's going to start then in your view for England against Croatia, Darren.
So I had Henderson in goal, Dean Henderson. I know Pickford's never let England down, but I think Henderson has shown this season, since he's become Man United #1, how good he's been. Obviously, Kyle Walker for me is England's first choice right back. Stones, obviously big question marks around Maguire. Will he be fit? But if he is fit, I agree with Dawson. He's vital to the way we play. Chilwell at left back. Now, obviously Declan Rice is our #1 holder, but I really like Jude Bellingham, and I think he could do a bit of both of them. I think we saw in the Champions League against City, he's box to box, so I think he's important. For me, Mason Mount, #10. I mean, he's been. I mean, I can't believe you left him out, but he's been.
Could I get him a Grealish in?
Yeah, but he's been better than Grealish this year. Yeah,
Grealish is going to be. Grealish is going to set this tournament alight. He's going to be on fire for us.
So I've got Mason Mount at my #10, and then I've gone Foden, who's been exceptional this season. Potentially could be. Well, I think it's him and Mason Mount for Young Player of the Year, PFA Young Player of the Year, and Sancho, who's been outstanding for Borussia Dortmund this season, and obviously Harry Kane was the obvious one.
Interesting, goalkeeper. I mean, Henderson, he didn't start the Europa League final for United.
No, and I bet they've ruined that decision, because I think he's been brilliant for Manchester United in the league. I think he's establishing himself as the #1 at Manchester United. I think he's got real presence about him. And I think he's a lot calmer than Jordan Pickford now. I like Jordan Pickford. I think he's been very, very good. He's never really let England down. But every now and then he does have maybe a bit of a rush of blood to his head, and he'll do one or two things where you start thinking, oh. So for me, I think Henderson would be my first choice. But as I said, he's never let Gareth down.
I want to ask you both this before we go to Jess up in the North East. Do you think Harry Kane, as he hopes he will know his own future before a ball is kicked in anger in the first match against Croatia?
Probably not, no. He'll know what he wants. Whether that will, I think Harry's one of those players that it won't affect him. I really don't. I just think he's so single-minded. He's hard work. He's everything that any manager would want. He's just, you never hear anything off the pitch. So clean. His work ethic,
dedicated to what he's doing.
Everything he does.
Yeah.
And football takes care of itself. When you cross that white line, he doesn't disappoint. He's fantastic. So whatever he's going off in his mind off the pitch, I don't believe it'll affect him, because he's everything.
He's too focused.
Yeah, he's a perfect pro, isn't he? He's a perfect pro.
He's so focused. And obviously, all he'll be thinking about right now is England winning the Euros.
Scoring goals,
and that'll be it.
It's all the think forwards, Jim.
Sure.
Just think, how many goals can they score? Goals.
Correct.
No, Harry, and he will. It'll be no different whenever he plays for England or it's Spurs. Fantastic.
Let's go back to Jess up in the North East, because Rob Dorset has left Jess and headed off, because he's going to be speaking to Southgate in the next few moments. Jess, good job by you up there. I know it's pretty hot where you are. You've done well for us this afternoon. You wonder, Jess, squad numbers, how significant are they? We hear Pickford's 1, Grealish is 7, Maguire 6, Stones 5, Henderson 8, Kane 9, Sterling 10. Bellingham has gone for 26. I mean, does that tell us much? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, Jim. I tell you what, though, with the lack of recognised central midfielders in this England squad, perhaps Jude Bellingham actually has got a great chance of being involved, not only in these friendly matches, but also the tournament itself. And what a time it would be for a 17-year-old Jude Bellingham, who was really impressed. He impressed at Birmingham, then he moved to the Bundesliga in Germany, didn't he? And has been equally impressive in their domestic league and also in the Champions League as well. But again, those headlines, the ones that really grabbed me, Jim, I have to say, the ones that were missed out is Jesse Lingard, James Ward-Prowse and Ollie Watkins. And interesting to hear from Gareth Southgate ahead of this presser, which is coming up in the next 5 minutes, that Jesse Lingard is likely to start in that friendly against Austria tomorrow at the Riverside Stadium. You just wonder, I'd like to hear from Gareth Southgate how he went about telling these players that they weren't involved in the 26-man final squad, but he still wanted them to be involved in these friendlies, knowing that they're not really playing for anything. They're not able to play to put themselves into contention. Now, we know that Gareth Southgate is prized on his man management skills. He has a great rapport with these players. So I'd love to ask him just how he went about telling these players and how he let them down gently in that way. Also, as a lot of people have pointed out publicly and on social media, I'd like to know why there's 6 fullbacks in the team. We've got 4 recognised world-class right-backs there in Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Kyle Walker, of course. And I just wonder whether he's actually meant to be playing them at right backs, or whether he will use their versatility, their flexibility to play them in other positions. We know, of course, don't we, that Reece James can play on the right-hand side of a back 3, and Trent Alexander-Arnold can play in midfield, as Southgate has already said. So, Jim, look, there's still so much to discuss, even after we've got this announcement. The presser is coming up any moment now in the next 5 minutes or so. Rob Dorset will bring that live for you. I can't wait to hear what Gareth Southgate has to say.
Jess, terrific job up there. Thank you so much for that. Well, as Jess rightly says, Rob Dorset has headed off, and he is going to be putting a fair number of points, I'm quite sure. Whatever chance he gets, he'll be putting them to Gareth Southgate very shortly. Then after Southgate speaks, I'll be tuning over the bones of what he says with these 2 gentlemen who've done a sterling job for us so far. And, of course, they are Darren Bent and Michael Dawson. So many talking points coming out of this squad announcement this afternoon. Ollie Watkins didn't make it. Ward-Prowse didn't make it. No Jesse Lingard in the final 26, but curiously, Southgate says when they play Austria tomorrow night, Lingard might feature. That's beaten us all, that one. So very soon, we're going to hear as to why he came to certain decisions in that 26-man squad announcement. And of course, he knows what lies ahead. Massive tests against Croatia, the Czech Republic, and the biggest of the lot, Scotland. Well, now, what an afternoon this is proving to be. It's a bit like the doomed Super League, isn't it? We're about to bring you the England news conference as Gareth Southgate explains his England picks for the upcoming Euros. He's down to 26 now, the final squad announcement. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is amongst the squad, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to have a new manager when he goes back to Everton, because the breaking news this hour coming out of Goodison Park is that Everton are going to be in the hunt for a new manager. We have a statement coming up from Everton, because they have just confirmed to us that Carlo Ancelotti has left his position as manager and he's heading to Spain to take up the role of head coach at Real Madrid. This has happened so quickly. Ancelotti, who joined Everton a 4.5-year deal, December 2019, says thanks so much to the board of directors, the players and all Evertonians for the great support that they have given him in his time at the club. He has huge respect for the club, but now he is out of there and heading to Real Madrid. I'll get the reaction of Darren Bent and of Michael Dawson later for that. But let's now go to Gareth Southgate, who is having a news conference now, and also alongside him are Kieran Trippier. And Rob Dawson's asking a few questions. Here he is.
Today were compared with the decisions you had to make before the World Cup in Russia?
Well, I spoke to the players. I mean, really, it's the three more senior players that I spoke to yesterday to explain what was happening. So, of course, that's always difficult. You know what a big thing it is for a player to go to a major tournament, and those three boys have, really been valuable members of our squad. And I gave them all the option, if they didn't want to stay with the group, to go home, but they were all adamant. They value being with England. They want to be part of the squad. They know that we've still got 2 matches to play, which they will be involved in. And if we pick up injuries, that group of players are the ones who are on standby. So I'm always mindful of what happened with Trevor Sinclair in Japan, that things can change very, very suddenly. So, of course, it's difficult. It's always nicer to give people the news they're in a squad for the first time, or give them a first cap. Much more difficult, because I've been a player. I know how difficult it is to receive that difficult news.
The most obvious next question is, you've got 4 right-backs in the squad, which is, I think, unprecedented. Explain that one to us.
Well, I think we went through this last week. Yes, we have 4 players that play sometimes at right back for their clubs, but Kieran's here, has been playing at wing back as well as at right back. Reece James has played right of a 3 or right wing back. Trent plays at right back, and Kyle Walker, has played at centre half for us in a 3, and has also played at left back during a match for us against Denmark. Reece James was in midfield against Aston Villa. Basically, they're in our best 26 footballers, and that's why they're in the squad. And if I could have picked a 5th or a 6th right back, I probably would have done.
Is it fair for us to assume then that you're not categorising them as right backs and that they will play elsewhere? And I wonder whether you told us last week that Trent Alexander-Arnold is such a good footballer, you could see him playing further forward, maybe in the midfield, and you haven't got as many options on the right side of midfield maybe as you have on the left. Is that an option for him?
We're here to play 9 games, and we know we already have some injury doubts in the group. I'm sure we're going to face other difficulties over the next 5 weeks. So we need adaptability, we need good players, we need good professionals, tactically savvy players, and we're fortunate that we've got old and young players who fit all those categories.
You mentioned you've got some injury concerns. One of the most obvious ones of those is Harry Maguire. Hopes for him. Do you expect him to be fit for the opening game, or is he somebody that you've still got to assess and may have to make changes and replacements for if he doesn't come through?
Well, we know exactly where he's at. Our medical team have been over with him in Manchester. He's not travelled yet to us because with the quarantine issues coming back from Poland, that was a bit more complicated. So he's got a bit to do. It's like Hendo, they've both got a bit to do really to be available. But we feel that the possibility that they can play a part, and the fact that they're such fantastic characters to have around the group. You know, Hendo is already, his leadership, his presence is having an effect on other people, especially the younger ones in the group, but all of the others as well. So given we were able to pick 26, we felt that the opportunity to have those two with us was a straightforward one, really.
We were a little surprised to see Manchester United's announcement earlier on this morning that Mason Greenwood was withdrawing from the squad, especially as it happened on the day when you were due to announce the 26. Can you explain to us what happened there, and would he have been in your 26 had he been fit?
Well, I spoke with Mason and with Ollie last Friday, so that was when that decision was made. I guess it was a bank holiday weekend, so that's maybe why it's not come out till today. So, to be honest, we hadn't, at that point got to the level of decision on the reducing the 26. We still were waiting for the Champions League final. So it's unfortunate for Mason to miss out on any tournament, even though he's young. These opportunities don't come around often. We know what an exciting player he can be, but it wasn't an option for us.
Jesse Lingard misses out, and you said he's taken that very well, and he still wants to be a part of the squad for these friendlies. What was you thinking in why he wasn't going to make the final 26? Just the number of options you had in those positions and the fitness of others? Yeah,
Jesse's done incredibly well to get back in the race, really. Going back to January, he was a million miles from being selectable for an England squad. I said in March he'd had a fabulous few weeks, but you'd have to say that he was a little fortunate because we were without around four wide players at that time. He had a good spell with West Ham, and he's been a player that has played so well for us with England. We have total trust in the way he plays. He's reliable. He's a great member of the group. He will play tomorrow because we've got Sancho ill, and we've obviously got a lot of players not available, and for the balance of the team he'll start. So he deserves that opportunity to go and show me that I'm wrong straight away. But also the lads that are with us, they're the standby players. We've got to keep them match ready as well in case they come back into that squad.
I'll ask a couple to the man on your right, Kieran Trippier. Kieran, first and foremost, massive congratulations, mate. We should never take for granted how special it is for players to make a squad for a major tournament like this. And I just wonder how special it is for you, especially when you know the competition you've got in the position you play.
Yeah, it's a very special moment for myself. I know the competition that I've got from the other right-backs. And it's just about, playing well for my club. And I feel like I've done that this season. But I know I've got great competition. There's three right-backs here, Walks, Trent and Reece, and there's other right-backs also who've done fantastic in the Premier League this season. So, yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be in the 26, and just looking forward to the tournament now and helping the team as much as I can.
Be honest with us, were you a little bit surprised Gareth went with all four of you in the 26?
Obviously there's four quality right-backs, and as Gareth said before, we can play in different positions to help the team. And, as four right-backs, competitive right-backs, we just want to help each other as well, and whatever's best for the team, and I'm sure all four of us will do that.
Thanks, mate. One final one for Gareth, if that's okay, before I hand over to everybody else. Gareth, you mentioned that a few of the players are on your standby list, that the senior players that are involved. Can you tell us a bit more about that standby list, who's on it? And of course, you can still make changes to this squad up to your first game. So you've got another 12 days when that gives you a bit of a safety net, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically all of the players that are here will be on that standby list. So Ben Godfrey, Ben White, Aaron Ramsdale, James Ward-Prowse, Jesse Lingard and Ollie Watkins. That they will be the standby players. If we have any injuries, we can only change now on the basis of injuries. So obviously those guys will be training with us, and they'll be involved in the matches as well. I think that's important. We want to get them into the games, not only because we feel if we have an issue, they need to be ready, but they deserve it. Their commitment to stay with the group, their respect for their teammates to want to be here, shows what playing for England means to this group of players. And I think it's important the public know that, because sometimes people dismiss the importance of England caps, what it means to players. This group are incredible in that regard, and those three boys in particular that received that disappointment yesterday, I think it speaks massively for their character and their personality.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you. Time to open up to others. We'll start with Carrie Brown from beIN Sports.
Thank you. Hello, Gareth. Very difficult for you to name this squad. Not lacking creativity in midfield, which we were talking about going into the last World Cup. But with Jordan a bit of an injury doubt at the moment, what does that say about what Jude has shown to you with his so young in age, and how hard a conversation was it with James?
Well, I've got to say James was brilliant, as was Jesse, as was Ollie. Totally professional. I mean, that is the character of those three players. But to speak specifically about James, I've had him as under-21 captain. He's had a very, very good season with Southampton. He gave himself every chance with his performances and his professionalism to be in the squad. It means an enormous amount to him to be involved with England. So, but for Jude, he's phenomenal. Just in training in the last couple of days, to have a 17-year-old who wants to compete with senior players, not only has the techniques but the competitiveness and the maturity. He's a hugely exciting player. He's going to be an important player for England. I think we're not just taking him for the experience. The experience is going to be enormous for him and for future England managers, because I don't see with him anything in his character that means he won't succeed. But his performance levels with Dortmund in the big Champions League games were the things that really struck us. He stood up in those big moments, and they're the moments we're really assessing the players on.
Bukayo Saka as well, when you've got the likes of Lingard not involved, Watkins not involved, but he is a player with great versatility. Why is he in your squad?
Well, firstly, he's performed exceptionally well for us. He's performed well in a team that's had a difficult season. Sometimes young players can go into teams that are playing well and flourish. He's gone into a team that have had a tough season and really played with character as well as skill. So again, we saw when he had to come on in Belgium, real personality in his performance. And as you rightly say, his adaptability, the fact he can play probably 4 or 5 different positions, is a real plus for us.
Thanks, Carrie. Next we'll go to Alex Hell from BBC Sport.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi, Alex.
Just a bit of a clarification on Harry Maguire. You said he has a bit of work to do. Will he be fit for the group games, or is it later in the tournament that you have him in mind?
Well, we don't know that yet, but it's going to be tight for the first game, there's no question. But again, I think he's such a good player, and because we had the additional size of squad, the fact that leadership which is growing in him all the time, we wanted to take that opportunity to bring him into the squad.
And then just looking at the names in the attacking group of the squad, do you think that's one of the strongest front lines in the tournament?
Well, there are a lot of very good front lines in the tournament. Portugal springs to mind immediately, France. So, we of course, we're a bit myopic. That's why people don't talk about Kieran, because he's playing in Spain. He's won La Liga. He's been voted in the team of the season. Nobody mentions him. So, yeah, other countries have very good players as well. We're happy with ours for sure. We wouldn't swap ours, and we're looking forward to working with them. And we're going to need all of them, because there's games where we'll play in different ways. You need to refresh the team. 9 matches to get through, so we're pleased to have that strength in depth.
So there we go, that's Gareth Southgate talking to our own Rob Dorset, amongst others. Much more to come from him. Kieran Trippier sitting by his side. Now we know who made it and who didn't. His 26-man squad. More from Southgate in just a moment, and more from Darren Bent and Michael Dawson coming your way as well.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Good evening, everybody. A very eventful Tuesday evening. It's hot out there. It's hot in here as well. Plenty of big news tonight. Carlo Ancelotti has left Everton. He's headed back to Real Madrid. That is now official. Obviously, much more reaction to that news throughout the evening and night on Sky Sports News. Michael Dawson and Darren Bent are here in studio with me, and they're going to be discussing the England squad, who made the cut, Gareth Southgate's final 26-man squad. In actual fact, let's rejoin Southgate now. He's been asked about Trent Alexander-Arnold's reaction to getting into the 26-man squad. Here he is.
OK, so I spoke with Trent about 3 weeks ago. So where the stories over the last couple of weeks that have ended up with, lots of strange headlines, lots of strange stories, I've no idea where they've come from. But I felt there were stories that ran that were so far off the truth. I would never normally speak to a player because I read a lot of stories about myself that are not true, but I have to accept that's the job I'm in, and people speculate and write it as if it's exclusive or anything else. But when it's a player sometimes, and they might feel that they're reading it, so maybe it's true, maybe the manager is speaking to the press behind the back. That's obviously not the case. So even last night, we're still dealing with that, puzzled because he's there taking set plays in the morning for the game tomorrow, and then he's reading that he's not going to the European Championship. I really don't understand it. Like, for me, it's no drama. I accept, as the England manager, this is what I deal with. I always go back to front page of the whatever it was. I'm the biggest fan of British Bake Off. I have Bake Off parties at my house, and I'm desperate to be on the show. The only thing in the story that was true was my age, That's the world I live in. But for my players, I want to protect them. And so, again, we're having to speak to Trent last night to say, look, don't know where this is all coming from. It's nonsense. Because people then jump on it and say, I've got an agenda or I don't like the kid. It's an incredible situation, really. But as I say, not bothered about it from my own point of view, but I do always think about the players.
Thanks, Dan. Next we'll go to Jack Pitt-Brook from The Athletic. Sorry, Jack, you're on mute.
Sorry. Hi, Gareth. You talked about the possibility of replacing players who are injured up until before the Croatia game. Is that an option for players who are currently recovering from an injury and trying to prove their fitness, like Henderson and Maguire, or would that only be for new injuries?
Yeah, no, that only for new injuries. So we don't have that option with those guys.
OK. You've talked a bit about Maguire's recovery. Can you tell us a bit about Henderson, Rashford and Grealish and how they're getting on?
Jordan has trained with the team all week, so that's been good. I mean, we've had to modify him through certain parts of the session. He'll be involved in the game tomorrow. So his progress is good, but we're realistic about what that might look like. Jack has trained with the team, hasn't been able to train every day. We've got to manage his load. So, again, we want to get the players to the best possible point, but we don't want to break them in the process. Marcus, we haven't seen on the grass, but I've spoken with him and, he assures me he's happy with where he's at. So we go from there with that one.
Thanks, Jack. OK, next we'll go to BBC Look North.
Hello, Gareth. It's Dawn Thewlis here from BBC.
How you doing, Dawn?
Because I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah,
Long
good
time
to
no
see you.
You too. Just a couple of quick ones from me. Obviously, it's important to take England matches around the country, I think, to get fans involved from all over and get behind the team in a big tournament. But why choose Middlesbrough this time?
Well, the initial decisions come from the FA, so they give me the possibilities. They wanted to take the team to the North East. We were hoping to play at Newcastle as well. And if we'd had the opportunity with full stadiums and without having to set the stadiums up for COVID, we would have liked to have used both stadiums. And of course, when we were coming to the North East, I knew that the training facilities here, as well as the hotel, are, fabulous environment. It's been great very relaxed for the boys. They've, some play a bit of golf. The weather's been glorious. We only have to walk across the field to the training ground. And of course, the real bonus in this sort of era of sporting bubbles with COVID, because the weather's been so good, we've been able to sit outside. We've been able to spend more time together, eat outside. And that's, I think, been great for everybody psychologically.
Of course, coming back to the club where you captained and managed is nice for you, but also good for Teesside fans in particular to be able to see a game of this calibre.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing here 2003 against Slovakia, I think it was, and everybody was hugely proud to host the England team, and you can see the excitement around the area already. So, yeah, I'm of course delighted to bring the team here, but it wasn't initially my decision, so I don't want any accusations of nepotism.
Thank you, Dor. Next we go to Marcello Courage from TV Globo. Sorry, Marcello, your mute button's on.
Second. Now, can you listen to me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay. So, Gareth, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kieran, too. I would like to know, given the circumstances of the pandemic in this country, which are pretty nice now, but we still are living in the pandemic, and this competition has like 11 countries involved, and there's a big possibility of you guys flying abroad. How much of a challenge is this to your plans to work with the team, Gareth?
Well, we've experienced this throughout the autumn and in March, the very restrictive environment in those periods for team meetings, for the guys to socialise together, most importantly, because, one of the great things about this group of players, they get on so well, they want to spend time just chatting and sharing their experiences, and that was really difficult through the previous camps. Now, because we are going to be together for a longer period without people coming from the outside, as we're together for those longer periods, we can start to ease those restrictions because we'll have more negative tests and we'll have more awareness of that. And we're in the summer now, so like I said, we can get outside more, which it allows us to operate a little bit differently. So the possibility of travel will be exactly the same as it's been for the players with their clubs and for us with the national team over the last 12 months. We're used to that. We know how to prepare for it. It's not what you'd choose, but everybody is facing those difficulties, and we respect that so many people in the world haven't been able to do their jobs in the way we have.
And Kieran, living in a different country like Spain, you probably felt different standards of dealing with the pandemic for a football player and for clubs. What you're thinking about England in this case, and the possibility of playing in front of your crowd, your people at the group stage?
Yeah, obviously for myself, at times it was challenging, obviously in Spain, with everything that was going on, but I tried to keep myself busy with the club, and the most important thing for me was my family. But yeah, to be representing England at Wembley, it's a dream come true. To play the Euros for England, to be in and around the team, and to play in front of the fans at Wembley, it's an unbelievable feeling, especially for the supporters. But yeah, it's one tournament that I'm really looking forward to. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, involved with the team, and just looking forward to it now.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcello. Okay, we've only got time for two more, so apologies to plenty of you who've got your hands raised already. We'll take one from Jack Hart at Stats Perform.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi, Jack.
12 out of your 23 outfield players have combined for 62 direct free kick attempts this season in the Premier League. Have you even begun to think of a pecking order for those?
Well, the quality of the free kick taking after training is very high, so the pecking order will be based on what we see in those training sessions and what we know people are capable of, because if they're not delivering in training and hitting those areas regularly, then there'll be no transfer into the game. So no point going in with hope. We've got to see the action. But it's a good school at the end of training sessions, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you, Jack. And we'll finish with one last one from Jonathan Swain from ITV Good Morning Britain.
Hi Gareth, good to see you. Just to give us a sense of I know the training is one thing, isn't it? Getting all the players together, you've put all the names in the squad now. Just gives a sense of how important it is, something that you can't perhaps teach the players, and that is just how well they're going to get off together, in the training and sort of off the pitch together. They're going to be with each other now for a number of weeks, and lots of managers talk about them going World Cups, you know it yourself, or particularly like the Lions tour. You've got all these players from different clubs, different countries now, and with your squad as well. It gives a sense how important that is and what sort of things you can do to bring all the players together to get that great atmosphere amongst them.
Well, these boys get on unbelievably well. I mean, there's lots of connections between boys who've played at youth level together, different age groups, boys who've been at clubs. Kieran was obviously with the boys at Spurs. Kyle Walker has those connections with the boys at Spurs. Raheem has the connections with Liverpool. So there's so many little interlinked groups of players. They socialise a lot when they're not with England. They keep in touch on social media. They're proud to be part of this England club, if you like. We've built an atmosphere, and it's credit to the players that it feels like a club. And then, because it's like that, their commitment to each other on the pitch is massive. So there's no doubt that social part is really important. But it's only by having good people and good players like we've got that we're able to build that.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan.
There we go, but the big news is that Gareth will not be in the Great British Bake Off. There we go. The England squad, now we know it's 4 right-backs, and Gareth says it's all about picking the best 26 players who are available to him. Reaction to that from Darren and Michael next.
We're all in.
We're all in to kick it out. James Ward-Prowse, Jesse Lingard, the headline name, they miss out. Remember, though, 5 substitutes come the Euros, so who knows? Maybe apart from the goalkeepers, maybe most of the 26 will be used. Darren Bent and Michael Dawson have been in studio throughout Gareth's squad announcement. And look at the way Gareth Southgate is talking with the media this evening. You cannot help but like what you see and you hear. His demeanour is perfect. This is a manager who has the utmost confidence in what he's doing, I think, as a major tournament approaches.
And you'd want to play for him, that's for sure. You just look the way he comes out there, always trying to protect his players. We read that Trent wasn't going to be involved. He spoke to him 3 weeks ago, so that's probably why you see the pictures this morning having fun, because he was relaxed, knew he was going to be in it. He just tries to take all the pressure off, and that's, you watch England play, and that's how it seems. Because we know the expectation that's going to come now. Talk back to 2018. Yeah. They're going in there relatively no pressure. You always have pressure when you play for England. Yeah. Yes, now they've got real pressure because they've set the bar. Semi-final of the World Cup. Now we're going in. I think we're 5-1 to win it. Yeah. One of the favourites, and that's credit to the lads what they've done and what Gareth Southgate and his staff have done. And they're going to have to bring and deal with that pressure and expectation.
Do you think England are one of the favourites, rightly?
Yes, I do. I do. I look at that squad and think, yes, there's other teams that have got world-class, unbelievable players. It's in our country. Players going into the tournament full of form. But they're going to have to deal with the expectation of ourselves as fans, Benny, aren't they? That's what brings.
Darren, are they right to be in amongst the favourites?
For me, I'd probably say there's 4 or 5 teams I'd put ahead of them in terms of winning the major tournament. France, unbelievable squad. Belgium, we've had difficulties with Belgium before. I think this is probably the last major tournament I can remember. All the big hitters are there. You look at the last major tournament, I think 1 or 2 of them, Germany weren't great. I don't think, with the Italians, I don't think Italy were even there.
Portugal this year as well.
Yes.
They look
strong, Belgium strong. They're all there. So, but listen, I think expectation will be raised in terms of the squad because we've got so many attacking young players that are playing at top clubs. You look at the Champions League final, you've got Reece James, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, all playing at top clubs in the biggest competitions. Kieran Trippier going over, winning La Liga, Jude Bellingham and Jadon Sancho doing what they're doing. So I can understand why the expectation is doubled, and obviously while it's in this country as well, of course it's going to go through the roof.
But Dan, I really like the way that Southgate conducts himself. You know, these are the best 26 as far as I'm concerned. If that means 4 right backs, it means 4 right backs. These are the best 26 players. That's my... You know, the buck stops with me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bit harsh him saying that in terms of if he wanted to pick the best 26 football players, and if he could have picked 6 right-backs, he would have done it, because Jesse Lingard, again, I keep going back to it, he is a very, very good footballer. Yeah. Ward-Prowse as well is a good footballer. He's got really, really good footballers in there, so... The 4 right-backs is one thing that me and Michael have been speaking about a lot, and we still don't understand it, but I do like what he does in terms of taking the pressure off his players, putting it on himself, and to be fair, he didn't duck any questions either. Some of the questions were quite difficult. It was interesting to hear how he was going to word it, and he kind of just gave his
He's brilliant, opinion. And it's not easy picking that squad. You ask anyone, mine and Bentley's teams are different, everyone has their opinions. He's England manager, he has to deal with this. Yeah. And we'll come at the end of the tournament, we'll see what's right. Will all 4 of these play? Me and Ben have had plenty of debate off air. Who's going to play, who's not going to play. He won't play a minute. That's it. It's such a hard job for him to do. Yeah. But that's why he gets paid and he has the bake-off in his house.
Well, Michael, mid-afternoon, we brought the exclusive news that Trent Alexander-Arnold had indeed made the squad. And then it was confirmed when the squad announcement was made in the last 20 minutes, half an hour or so. This is interesting. This has emerged on Twitter. This is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and this is what he's saying tonight. Always believe in yourself. Silence the doubters.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But he was one of them, again, an example to young players. Went through disappointment, didn't start off the season great. Gareth Southgate made a point of leaving him out. It was headline news. People talking about he wasn't going to be in the Euro squad. He rolled his sleeves up and was absolutely superb the last part of the season. So he's going into the season on top form. So you have to say, well played Gareth Southgate was also telling him 3 weeks ago, but also himself taking the criticism on board and going, you know what, I'm not going to let anyone stand in my way. I'm going to go out there and play well when he did that.
And that's the rest of the squad that's going to stay with Gareth, because we questioned that, didn't we? They might get an opportunity. You talk about the injuries, who's going to be there. It takes one. He'll be looking at the professionalism, and he spoke about that. He spoke about James Ward-Prowse, which you'll know from his 21 days. He knows these characters in that squad. He knows what he's dealing with. He knows how they can deal with it. But he's made that. He's made that environment enjoyable to go, and people wanting to stay.
Guys, let's go back up to the northeast. Jess Crichton is up there for us where the squad announcement was made. Jess, you've been no doubt tuning into what Darren and Michael have been saying. What's the feeling on the ground up there now that the squad is out in public? We know the 26 man.
Yeah, I have to agree with what's been said in the studio. I think the way Gareth Southgate has handled himself has been exemplary. I mean, he had a little bit of an edge to him in this press conference. I'll come to that a bit later when it concerns Trent Alexander-Arnold. But some of the key talking points for me, he said he chose his best 26 footballers. So there was lots of discussion, wasn't there, about him choosing 6 fullbacks, 4 right backs, 2 left backs. Lots of us in the media, lots of fans, particularly on social media, saying, why have you got 4 right backs? I don't think he sees them as 4 right backs. He sees them as good, world-class footballers. And he even pointed out himself, the likes of Reece James has played in midfield. He can also play on the right-hand side of a 3-man defence. Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't just a right back, he can play in midfield as well. So there's a versatility and an adaptability and a flexibility to this Gareth Southgate squad. He also spoke about the 2 big injury concerns in this team. That's Harry Maguire at Manchester United and Liverpool's Jordan Henderson. He said both of those have got a bit to do to be match fit for this opening game and to be ready for this tournament, in fact. But he did praise Jordan Henderson and say that he's a character. Even if Jordan Henderson wasn't 100% fit, you get the impression that Southgate would have picked him anyway, because he is a leader, because he's got big game experience, because he's got a level head and he's been in these situations before. He wanted Jordan Henderson in and around the players to bring about that team cohesion and that camaraderie. Interesting as well, we heard standby. He didn't release this officially, but in the press conference he did say that those 6 players that had missed out today on the final 26-player squad will be on standby, which is why we're likely to see those players involved in these 2 warm-up friendlies against Austria tomorrow and Romania on Sunday. And that's likely why he said that Jesse Lingard will play a part and is likely to start tomorrow against Austria. He wants to keep them fit. He wants to keep them in contention. He said that for Jesse Lingard, it's a chance for him to prove him wrong in not picking him for the final 26-man squad almost immediately. Fascinating. And I come on to the fact that Southgate had a bit of an edge about him. He was seemingly upset that there were so many headlines in the last few weeks saying that Trent Alexander-Arnold had not made the squad. There were exclusive headlines here, there and everywhere saying that he hadn't done enough. There was question marks raised about his defensive capabilities. And to quote Gareth Southgate, he said, "I really do not understand it." He doesn't know where those headlines came from, because he actually spoke to Alexander-Arnold 3 weeks ago about his inclusion in this final 26-man squad. So where those headlines have come from, he says he's utterly bemused by it. And he was right. He didn't call out any particular journalist for that, but he felt like he was having a bit of a go at those in the media, quick to write off Trent Alexander-Arnold after what's been a pretty tough season, although he is in form at the moment. So again, Jim, lots of talking points, and I feel like, even though we know the squad now, there's still so much to debate, Jim, and still so much to discuss. But the way Gareth Southgate has handled this, kept it close to his chest, kept the headlines to himself, but again, been able to be engaging and charismatic in this press conference has been brilliant. And it's been really enjoyable covering this announcement today.
You've done well, Jess. Thank you very much indeed. When you get people like Ben and Dawson about, there's no debate, there's a debate. Absolutely. and it's not over yet. We've had quite an amazing 3 hours, actually. The first news on Trent Alexander-Arnold's inclusion in the squad, the exclusion of Jesse Lingard, and Gareth Southgate live. And on top of all that, Everton have seen Carlo Ancelotti head off to Spain to join Real Madrid. What a night it's been. It's not over yet. Reaction to all of that coming your way after this.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Welcome back. Well, some England international players very happy, 26 of them in particular tonight, because the ones who have made the cut, extremely happy because they are looking forward to the Euros now under Gareth Southgate. But people like Ollie Watkins of Villa, James Ward-Prowse of Southampton, Jesse Lingard, of course, more lately on loan at West Ham. Probably none too happy because they have missed out. Michael Dawson and Darren Bent have missed nothing this afternoon. We've been right across the lot. I think, Michael, the headline story, no doubt, was Trent Alexander-Arnold. We now know that I think Southgate said, as long ago as 3 weeks ago, he had a very good chat with him and he said, look, you're going to make it. I mean, Trent tonight, so pleased to be in it. And again, that short tweet, always believe in yourself, silence the doubters. That says everything about Trent tonight, doesn't it?
Brilliant. Confidence. You know, and brilliant for Gareth Southgate, because when you don't select him in the last England squad, this is always going to rumble, always. With this building up, we've had rumblings in the last 24 hours, he's not going to be in. And it just shows the man management of Gareth Southgate to me. Telling him 3 weeks ago that he's going to be in, he doesn't have to worry about this press. Because, Benty, we spoke, didn't we? You hear you see what's been said and everything that goes along with it. Great man management. And the tweet that Trent put out there, that's a little dig at everyone who's questioned him.
And there's been a few of them, by the way, that have come out and said that even though he has been spectacular for the last 2 years, they said that his form dropped off that much. I mean, I thought it was a little bit harsh, if I'm honest, when he first got left out of the squad, because, yes, he wasn't playing to his maximum, but we're now seeing Gareth Southgate taking players that aren't in any great form, and he's not left them out. Yeah. So I did feel for Trent, but listen, as he said 3 weeks ago, he was told he's got himself back into top form. So, again, it's testament to himself and to the way Gareth Southgate's managed. I mean,
this is a right-back, if you like, Darren, who was in the shortlist for the Ballon d'Or. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
It doesn't, but he was exceptional the last 2 years. His range of... He's at what you call the new modern-day fullback in terms of the way... He's not so much even a fullback. He's like a wide player. He's delivering into the box. His range of passing, his technique. Yes, defensively, at times, he can be better. But he has got better, I think. But I just think he's such a weapon. I mean, when he gets the ball, me being a front man, if you're like a Salah or Mane with that pace... all you've got to do is time and run, and he's got that range of pass that he just finds you with quality, and you're in on goal, and you don't find too many of these players about.
He's so positive, though, isn't he? Everything he does, you say, look, he makes some incredible passes. I've just thought of the goal against Barcelona where the ball's on the spot and he just turns away, switched on. He's just got, Origi finished, just all these things as a forward, like you say. He's so positive, and when they don't come off, people say, it's a wonder ball. But what were they? His most assists last year or something, even Robertson from both full-backs. Incredible. So... great for him to come back and great for England. Who's going to play? 4 right-backs? Only Gareth knows.
You two boys played for Tottenham. You're not concerned at all that Harry Kane goes into this still a Tottenham player? Harry Kane's mind is very much on England. You're quite happy with that?
Definitely. Know him personally, and of watching from an outset since I left there. He's just an incredible professionalism. And Gareth spoke about that in the England camp, and I think to be in and around that, you have to be. Gareth picks characters, he picks players, and he's made that. And good luck to England. Let's hope it's a good summer.
You know, even with Harry Kane, he'll be relishing this opportunity. It's like a free hit for him in terms of he knows he's one of the most coveted and most wanted centre forwards in the world. So he can go away with England, represent his country, try and win the Euros for England, but just play with no fear, because it's not like he's desperate. Oh, what am I going to do? Because he knows
he's still got 3 years left.
Exactly, he's got a long time.
What's he got to worry about? Because he'll go and score goals in the Euros.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Both of you are more than comfortable with the 26 that Southgate has picked. How deep in this tournament will England go? Come on, Michael.
Well, we spoke there about being one of the favourites. Benty spoke about other teams being maybe more capable of them. I hope they can go one better than they went in 2018. Can they get to the final? We'll see. Tough start with Croatia. Got to get out the group stage.
It's a tough group.
You've got to get out the... Benty just looked at YouTube and thought, Scotland, that's scandalous.
Well, you both think Scotland will not be... Nobody is going to push over the Scots.
Well, no, it's a derby, and we know expectation. We expect it to obviously run you over, but at the same time, it won't be that easy.
No chance.
It'll be difficult.
No, well, we don't really want to be run over.
Yeah, well,
we're not going to let you. But I mean, the Czech Republic in there as well. So, are you thinking, Michael, semi-final?
Yes,
is that what you're thinking?
That's where you've got to aim. You've got to try and go
at least.
Always improve of where you were. You talk about club level last season. Can we improve on that? 2018 semi-final. Can they Can they get through the
Can they go one better than a semi-final?
I'll say quarterfinals, and then I think if they get to the quarterfinals, then you can, I think, start believing. But I think quarterfinals is still a chance.
Let's not get carried away. Let's not put too much pressure on
win
it.
it.
I said they've got a chance of winning it, Benny. A chance of winning it. Time will tell.
Guys, it's been quite a 3 hours, I have to say. Gareth Southgate, he never fails to impress, I must say, and I think today he played a blinder, did you not think?
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. He spoke really, really well. Still one or two decisions I maybe wouldn't have made, I would have chopped and changed, but listen, he's the England manager, he speaks really well, and good luck to them.
OK. Ancelotti, in the meantime, has issued a statement. Carlo Ancelotti, well, we've been talking about England, has issued a statement for the Everton fans as to why he's made the decision that he has made. So while Darren and Michael and myself were talking about Southgate's 26-man England squad, all that was going on in the background, because the other big breaking news tonight is that the Everton directors will be meeting to discuss what they do next, now that Carlo Ancelotti has gone back to Real Madrid. That is a big story tonight. So who, it begs the question, is going to come to Goodison? That's what they'll talk about tonight up there.